everybody. I pray this video finds you blessed. Last year, Frog Blanks had sent me a bunch of their first responder blanks that they were making. They were trying to do a promotion for it, but unfortunately COVID hit and caused the factory to not be able to produce these as expected. I'm cutting them on my miter saw because if any of y'all know me, I think that my table saw is Satan and it wants to eat my soul. So I don't run it. Miter saws are awesome for projects like these. I just learned that you have to allow the blade to completely stop before you pull it back out. Otherwise it slings your work across the shop, especially if you're using a stop like I'm using for measurement. The size of these blanks were 1.5 by 1.5. They weren't exactly 1.5 by 1.5. So some of the pieces I had to make sure that I positioned properly so that their thicknesses would all line up. And it was kind of tricky. And that's another reason why I chose to put resin in between as the fill, because they weren't exactly all the same size. It took me about a week to get this pattern, or actually just planning it from start to finish, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to make it. And I came up with this pattern because I had less red stripes as I did blue and green. So I just kind of came up with this weaved type pattern and sort of quilted, I guess, or weaved, I guess you could say. And it ended up working out. I'm using a spacer from just a strip of board that I had as my spacer for my gaps, because I wanted it to be a certain size, and also I knew that these pieces weren't exactly all the same, so kind of tiling them in there, and the resin would act as like a grout to make up for the gaps that I have for them not all being exactly the same size. I'm using Starbond CA glue to glue them down, and the board I'm using is just a scrap piece of cabinet wood. There's a cabinet company that's near me, and they gave me permission to dig in their dumpster, so I get all kinds of leftover pieces from making cabinets, and it works out perfect for these types of projects. This is also leftover cabinet wood, and I'm taping packing tape to the side that will touch the resin, so it'll be easier to get that pride away from the resin. A lot of times it's a hit or miss. Sometimes the resin will stick to it really good, and you just have to cut it off, and other times it just peels off. It depends on how hot the resin gets, is whether it will stick to that tape, but so far I've had luck. This is the resin that can cure without a pressure pot, as long as you don't pour more than an inch or so. And because this resin has a longer curing time, making translucent in 3 different colors and assuming they're going to stay separate was a really bad idea. I mixed the colors and then was like, oh, I'm just going to pour them in all on top of each other, and it'll end up just turning black anyway. So I went and mixed some more black resin and poured over top of it. I don't know what I was thinking, the reason why I poured 3 different colors. It was one of those, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, well, it's not going to work for this. So sometimes mid project, you just realize that was stupid. You're like, that was dumb. And so I just went back and poured black resin over top of the rest of it. And now this cake plate was filmed a year ago, and it was before I started to discover that abrasive paste, the wax in abrasive paste, causes streaks when you're trying to use Frenchies or an OB shine juice. And what's happening is the wax that's in the abrasive paste is getting reheated because the OB and Frenchies is a friction polish. It's you get that stuff so hot that your fingers are like about to burn. That's how you get that shine. That's how it sets and cures and shines, is by the friction. It's a friction polish. While the abrasive paste has beeswax in it. Beeswax starts to melt, I think, at 142, somewhere around there. You can look it up, but you're getting it obviously a lot hotter than that when you're using your friction polish. So your leftover wax on the piece is trying to mix with your OB shine juice and Frenchies. And it doesn't mix. And when it cools down and you have these streaks because the wax was reheated and moved around by your OB shine juice or Frenchies, and that leaves behind streaks. So what I recommend, if you're going to use an abrasive paste of any kind that has any kind of wax in it, is just get it off really good, as much as you possibly can. before applying any kind of finish. And of course, wax, lacquer won't stick to wax, enamels, anything. Once you put the abrasive paste on there, spraying it or even coating it with resin is a no-go. You would have to sand back all of the wax in order to get any other finish to stick. So be very cautious before using abrasive paste. It's great stuff if you're just going to leave like a nice natural food safe finish, but it's not ideal for resin finishes or lacquer, and even sometimes the OB and the Frenchies finishes. This big chunk of red line and blue line already glued up, so I had to figure out how I was going to incorporate the green line in there as well. I didn't have enough green line square, blanks that were exact size as the red line and blue line, so I just used 2 of the scrap pieces I had left over and 2 smaller pen blank green lines that they sent me, and kind of just, glued them in there. I'm using the fast set resin with some black mixed in there just so that way you can't see the lines, and being that I'm not cutting these precise, I'm just throw them in there. It'll help fill up the gaps and hopefully make up for the fact that I'm not doing this like someone that is not afraid of their table saw. I'm just doing it to where I don't have to use my table saw as much as possible. I'm kind of just making it work. Even though this is a small amount of gluing, pieces of wood together, I realize that there is never enough clamps on this planet for segmenting. I mean, you have to have a shop designated for all the clamps you're going to need. Holy moly. I mean, you think, oh, one will be good. And then you're like, nope, no, I got to add another one. And before you know it, you got 15 million clamps, your neighbor's clamps, the every clamp that there is in a 50-mile radius on this one small piece. It's amazing how many clamps that, holy jamoli. to the bottom of the platter and the bottom foot that I had just made. And I don't need it to be this long, so I do cut it down a little. I chose the spray lacquer on the pedestal portion because I knew it was probably going to be the most handled part of the piece, and I wanted to be able to handle being held, so I felt that lacquer would be a more durable finish. And to speed up the drying process, I have my little blow dryer kind of taped and rigged to my magnet dial indicator. So if you're wondering what that was, it was just a mini blow dryer that I have there. I'm using Total Boats Fast Set resin, colored black to glue everything together, and then I use my stickers, which I get made at Vistaprint.com, to resin in the very bottom. Howdy everybody, I pray this video finds you blessed. This week I have a beautiful cake stand that I made out of blanks, there's some dust on there, blanks that Frog Blanks had sent me. If you don't know what Frog Blanks are, they are a company who makes laminated colored birch blanks. They make them for all kinds of things, pens, bottle stoppers, you name it. They make round blanks, square blanks, all of that. Unfortunately, because COVID hit, the factories had to slow down in their products. They weren't getting supplies and whatnot like they were supposed to. So they decided to hold off on promoting this because of limited supply. They contacted me and said that I could do whatever with the piece that I made that I would like, instead of trying to do our original idea. So I decided to donate this cake platter to Amanda Riggin from Hungry Heroes Barbecue. If you don't know who Amanda is and Hungry Heroes Barbecue, if you've never heard of them before, I'll read you a little bit from their website. Hungry Heroes was formed as a nonprofit with the mission to feed first responders around the country. To show her appreciation, get community support, and drive this mission so that first responders would never forget how much we appreciate them. That is amazing. Amazing that you do that, Amanda, and we all appreciate you. We appreciate those who serve. Those who can't serve in those ways can support those who serve in those ways, and show our appreciation for those who appreciate. If you'd like to know more about Hungry Heroes Barbecue, I'll put all the links for Instagram, Facebook, and her website down below on how you can support her mission. What an amazing way to serve those who serve us. Thank you, Frog Blanks, for providing the blanks for this beautiful piece. I thank Amanda at Hungry Heroes Barbecue for doing what you do for those who serve us. And for those who serve us, we truly appreciate you. I pray that y'all have a wonderful weekend. Take care and God bless.